Hey, happy Thursday. I hope you guys have had a great day. I am so excited to be back live. I feel like it's been a little while because I've been so busy. I've been traveling, I've been just doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I am super, super excited to be back on live with one of my favorite people, Carlton Falconer. So y'all come on in. It's gonna be good. So I'm excited. To be live with Carlton as always. And so, hey Josie. So I think it's gonna, well, I already know it's gonna be good because it's just gonna be good. So y'all share the live. I did drop in the link if you are wanting to connect with me, if you're wanting to look at coaching, or if you want to order one of my books or pre-order my latest book, Vulnerability, The Art of Letting Go. I dropped the link in the caption so you can connect with me there, order a book, support, download the app, and all those good things. Hey, Bonji. Hey, Cartel Glenn. So thank you guys for joining us tonight because it's going to be good. It's gonna be good. I'm already prepared for the goodness of it all. So I am really excited about tonight's topic. Did you settle or did it settle you? And, I feel a lot of different ways about the settling. So I can't wait for Carlton to give us his perspective, for y'all to give us y'all perspective. So definitely drop your comments in the comment section. Because we want it to be very much so an open discussion, an open topic about settling. Because in this season, we know that, although God has called us to greatness and to higher and greater things, that still sometimes we find ourselves settling. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this live who's going to listen to it tonight, who's going to listen to it a couple of days from now, somebody going to DM you with the live, you can attest to a season in your life where you settled, and maybe, what you were doing wasn't settling for you. And I think we all have, look, Vanji said, amen. We all have been in that space and place where we know we settled, and it's just it's time now for the people of God to just stop thinking that you got to settle. Stop thinking that you got to just be with this person because we've been together all these years. Baby, what that got to do with it? What that got to do with anything, And a lot of times people know that they have settled. A lot of times people know that, they're not with the person that truly stretches them to be the greatest version of themselves. People know when they with somebody who's just letting you do what you want to do. They're not really challenging you. They're not really, talking to you about bettering yourself. They're not pushing you to better yourself. Why? Because they're afraid that if you better yourself, you're going to leave them behind. So what are they going to do? Not talk to you about bettering yourself. And so I believe that men and women will be able to tonight really attest to that and be able to, really identify with that season of when you settled. And I was sharing with Carlton, when I dropped, when we came up with this topic on yesterday, and I was like, Carlton, I feel like a lot of times people, sometimes they settle, but then there's sometimes you find that thing that settles you. And I believe that when you find that thing that settles you, that's when you really become the greatest version of yourself. And that is when you really find you being tied to your purpose partner, or the person that God has truly called you to be with, or the person that God has really called you to do life with, right? Because they make you settle. They make you stop settling or stop looking and searching in all the wrong areas for love. And they make you stop and kind of stop you in your tracks and say, you know what? I need this person in my life. I became this person when you came into my life because you demanded a different version of me to show up. A lot of times, and we find that in friendships and relationships, that we find that people sometimes, they don't demand that. They don't demand that. Either they are afraid to demand that you show up as the greatest version of yourself, or they don't ask of it because they don't know it's there, or the selfishness of it all is that if you become greater, will you leave them behind? And so, that's the way of the world, unfortunately, but that is the world that we live in. Hey, Colette, that's the world that we live in, so, did you settle, or did they settle you? We'll find out tonight. We will find out tonight which one happened. So, definitely giving you guys time to hop on. Carlton's finishing up his coaching session, so he'll be on here in just a second to discuss this topic with me as well. Vulnerability, the art of letting go. It is still out. Special shout out to the Shade Room Church who highlighted my book today. So super excited to be to have my book showcased on the Shade Room Church. So vulnerability is my 2-year journey. Just to kind of tell you guys a snippet of it. It's my 2-year journey of learning how to remove the mask and really breaking down the walls so someone could come in to love me. And this book has literally taken me 2 years to write because I feel like I'm still living it. I know I'm still living it. It's testing me, even today. So, but vulnerability is one of those things that really and truly, look, Colette, I'm telling you, it's going to be good tonight. Vulnerability is definitely one of those things that really and truly, helps you grow and helps you really maximize love in your relationship. Hey, Kristen. And it's hard to have that without having vulnerability. When a person can't tell you why it hurts, they can only, they can only tell you a little bit about it. You a lot of times don't understand, the repercussions of what they've gone through when you don't understand on the scale of 1 to 10, what was the pain level of that thing. And so vulnerability really allows us to break down those barriers, knock down those walls of insecurities, and knock down those walls of, being afraid to just share, because a lot of times it's not that people don't want to be vulnerable. It's the fear of the what if that keeps people from being vulnerable. And I can definitely attest to being in that season, living in that season even now. I have moments that come up and I'm like, I don't know if I want to be vulnerable. That what if, question comes about, and rejection is another big fear that follows vulnerability. So, this second book, Vulnerability, the Art of Letting Go, it is a true art. It's an art that what people don't tell you, you continually have to learn over and over and over again and rehearse over and over and over again. And so, so definitely get the book. I've been rereading it because of editing, and it's still blessing me because, of course, I've been writing it for 2 years. So there's things that I have forgotten that's even in there. Hey, Jasmine, things that I've forgotten that are in there. And y'all share the live because it's going to be good. And so I'm getting like re-blessed and re-whipped at the same time through my own writing. That's when you know it's good, when it whips you all over again. So, I'll be getting whipped all over again, so I don't ever want y'all to think it's personal. It ain't personal. I'll be out here getting whipped by my own words, by my own writings, by my own theories about things. So just wanted to kind of give you a synopsis of what to expect when you read Vulnerability, the Art of Letting Go. I give a lot of practical ways to break down barriers, and I also give scriptures that reference the power of vulnerability and the power of taking over that fear, right? So it's an amazing book. Amazing book. So I dropped the link for the pre-order, for the hard copy pre-order, for the ebook. Praying that you guys get the book. So anyhow, so out of all of that, Carlton and I were talking, and I was like, hey, what are we talking about tonight? And he was like, God placed in my spirit about settling. And I was like, really? and because I'm so dramatic. And so, with that, I was like, OMG, well, I'm kind of in that season. So I quickly threw back a title to him and I said, are you settling or did it settle you? And so his spirit's been really heavy about the settling piece. My spirit has been really heavy about finding that thing that settles me. I think that when you are highly creative and you are a person that has so much going on, a lot of times it's hard to find that thing that settles you because you're constantly wanting to make sure. And I know for me in particular, I'm in a season where I do desire to, purposely date and lead to purpose partner marriage, right? So with all that being said, I'm like, okay, God, I don't want to make no mistakes. Like, I don't know if you ever been through like a tough relationship and you done like messed up a bunch of times with God. And then you be like, God, I just really don't want to make any more mistakes. That's the season I'm in. So I'm just like, okay, God, I don't want to do nothing outside of your will. I don't want to do a thing outside of your plan. I don't want to settle for anything. And I hear people always talking about that. Like, I don't want to settle. I ain't settling for less. Da, 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 da. But God, I want that thing that settles me. Because when you find somebody that settles you, they stretch you and they make you uncomfortable. Vulnerability is not an option, it's a must. So I am super excited. Conversation that's coming on tonight. Carlton's coming in. Y'all know, go and share and tag your friend because it's going up. So Carlton,
Hey,
are
Laura,
you
what's
there?
going on? How are you?
Good. I got my sweatshirt. I have to make sure I take my
Oh, for
picture.
sure. That's what's up.
I did get my sweatshirt. I've not been wearing it to the gym because I want to be able to wear it
I
elsewhere.
know, yeah, it's one of those sweatshirts you kind of want to like dress up a little bit, you want to be fly, like
Yeah,
type of thing. So I got you.
correct,
I got you.
correct. So I was sharing with the people on tonight because people are like, "This gonna be
Right.
good." They share tagging about this settling, and so I told the people of God that you were the one that said settling had been in your spirit.
Absolutely.
So you came with the settling
Mm.
piece, and I was like, "Or did it settle you?"
Right.
So I'm gonna let you go
Oh
first because
man.
it's been in your. I just came as your compliment.
No, no, that's fine. No, that's fine. No pressure, no pressure. But
No
no
pressure.
pressure. But everyone just share the live. Make sure you tag somebody. Make sure you get some people on here tonight. Should be really, really good. But God did put settling on my heart. It's something that I've been talking about, and I did a live around that. That was one of my points was not settling. And the
Mm-hmm.
example that I used was the story of the blind man in Bethsaida, where they led this man to Jesus. And
Oh,
Jesus,
come on.
spits in his hand, rubs it in his eye.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
Jesus asks this man, what do you see? He's like, I see people, but they look like trees walking around.
Come
So the
on.
angle that I took from that is that number one, Jesus didn't let that man settle for seeing people that look like walking trees. But
Correct.
sometimes in life, we just get so excited that we can see again.
Correct.
And then that's why we settle because we see, we just, hey, I just settled because I went from being blind to being able to see. So I'm going to
Correct.
settle, even though my vision is not what it's supposed to be, but I can
Mm-hmm.
see. So I
Correct.
think God just was having that settling piece on my heart. And, it kind of brought me back to a few of the things that we were talking about. So we were talking about partner versus project. So one
Mm-hmm.
question I would ask is in this season or in previous seasons, did you settle for a project when God
Mm.
designed a partner for you?
On. And how much did it
Eh,
cost when you settled for that
Exactly.
project? 'Cause it costed a lot.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure it costed a lot more than a partner would have costed, right?
Oh
Like they
God.
say sometimes this is the mortgage is less than paying rent in some
God.
scenarios, and you probably know that firsthand. So So that's something
Correct.
that, that came to my heart. Like, are we settling for a project when
Yeah.
God designed a partner for us? Or
Right.
are we settling for being a project when we want to
Mm.
be a partner? Because a lot of
Ooh.
times we don't want to put in the work. I don't want past my insecurities and vulnerability, all of those things,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to work on those things. So I'm going to just settle for being a project, right? Or I'm going to throw that accountability onto someone else. And that's why sometimes people have relationships to where it's like, you made me insecure, because they might have entered that relationship with I guess the expectation of that person to heal their insecurity, when they should have done that before they even entered the relationship. So we
Yeah.
got to be mindful. Are we settling, or like you said, did it settle us? Like, did we just settle for a relationship because we were tired of being
Mm-hmm.
single? So many
Hmm.
people, I wouldn't say so many people, or at least a good amount of people.
A lot of
Okay,
people.
we'll
You
keep it at that. A lot of
you see these rates been
right,
settled.
right. A lot of people, because sometimes people feel like, I'm ready for a relationship,
Yes.
but sometimes in most situations that means that I'm just tired of waiting. So,
Correct.
like you mentioned, did it settle you? Oh, a man came into my life. That settled my desire or my uneasiness of being
Yeah.
single and being lonely. I don't have to be lonely at night anymore because this man is in my life now. So I'm settled. I'm cool. I got what I've
Sir,
been
I
praying
got
for. Say it again.
I got a bed
I got
partner.
a bed partner. I got a Netflix and chill person. Maybe if I play my cards right, maybe, it could be me and somebody's son. Maybe, we can go on a vacation, right? If I play my cards right, right? So we just got to be mindful that we cannot settle in this
Yeah.
season. We cannot settle to just be a project to escape the work that we need to do to become someone's partner. We cannot
All right.
settle for just dating, right? Dating someone who's a project when God designed a partner, because it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. God is going to lead someone to you who is ready to be a partner. And the longer you settle, the longer you delay that man's arrival. Because
Mm.
God can't send you a husband when you're entertaining boyfriends and entanglements.
Sir,
You
are
can,
you gonna go down
I'm
this
going I'm going there
night?
tonight. I told you we got 2 weeks off. I'm fresh. I'm fired up, right?
Come
So
on.
that's what happens. God
That's a
cannot
fact.
send your husband when you are settling for entanglements and boyfriends and boobs. God is like, oh, there's not enough room. I can't send your husband. You're dating somebody, or you're Netflix and chilling with somebody because something settled you. And
Right.
that's so what happens, Lauren, is when God sees us settling, he can't send us what he has for us. He
Nope.
can't send, it's like return to sender. I got to return
Mm.
your husband back to the sender, which is God, because the
Right.
address is undeliverable. That space is occupied with a boyfriend and entanglement, someone that's not going to be there long. But the longer we settle, the longer we delay who God has for us. And that's why sometimes people find themselves frustrated. Why haven't I found the right man? Or why haven't I found the right woman? Because you're settling. You're settling for walking trees. You're not settling for, one of the things I mentioned in my live was, you can't settle for comfortable when complete is available. You can't settle for a partner who makes you feel comfortable when you got a complete partner that is waiting for you. So we just gotta be mindful of that in this season. We can't settle. Like you mentioned, did we settle, or did something settle us? Because comfortable does settle us, but God says
Yeah.
complete is available.
Hmm.
Complete, because that's what happens with that story with the man in Bethsaida. God touched his eyes one more time, and he's like, wow, I can see completely clear now.
Yeah.
So we can't settle for comfortable when complete is available. God has a complete partner with
Mhm.
all the characteristics that you're yearning for. But
Yeah.
why settle for a man that or a woman that only has 3 out of 5 of the characteristics or 2 out of the 5, right? It's like, yeah, he don't pray, but he do got a beard and money, but he don't know how to treat me right. So, it works.
He'll kill me every day, but we're gonna have a roof over our head.
Exactly. And that's why people are settling for comfortable. But the longer you settle,
Come on.
God, he can't send that package to an undeliverable address. The address is undeliverable.
Mm.
It's occupied. There's an entanglement there. I'm not going to send a man who's diligently been praying for you. I can't send that man who's been diligently praying for a woman like you, and he shows up and you're entangled with somebody. It's not going to work.
That's a word right there.
It's not going to work. So sometimes we're complaining that God isn't sending the right one because our address is undeliverable. And God has to
Mm.
continue to return the husband or the wife back to sender. Back to sender. Back to sender, because it says he who finds. So God can be
Come on.
sending the man to you, but it's like, I got to return back to sender. The address is undeliverable. And it could just be
Yeah.
something so small that's in the way. I use this example. I sent someone a sweatshirt, right? And this is one
Mm.
of the first times that I got something sent back to me, which was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like it was missing an apartment number. So something as
Mm-hmm.
small as an apartment number made them send it all the way back. So something that you feel as small as an insecurity can make
Fun.
God return that husband back to sender. So we can't settle for just being a project.
Yeah.
Do the work and
Mm-hmm.
become a partner. I want to be a partner. Like I said, it's okay to be a project right now, but don't settle for being a project forever.
Come
People want to,
on.
I'm a continuous project. At some point, I'm a partner. This ain't no
Yes.
5-year project. This is not a 10-year project. But the longer we
Mm-mm.
delay the work and the longer that we stay entangled, then it is going to be a 5, 10-year, 15-year project. And they've been working on that building forever. You've seen buildings like that. They've been working on that building
Correct.
forever, right?
But it's roll forever.
There you go, right? So
Yeah.
that's what God put on my heart pertaining to settling, or like you said, did it settle you? Because a lot of things settle us, settle our impatience, settle our uneasiness, settle our discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather endure a season of discomfort versus delaying the woman that God has for me.
Come on.
Discomfort or delay, discomfort and delay. You gotta which one? Because I can endure a season of discomfort, but I gotta sit
Yeah.
back and say, man, I pushed my wife back a couple of months, couple of weeks,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
I was settling, because something settled me, right? So we just got to keep that in mind. We cannot settle in this season. There are 56 days left in 2020. And I know a
Mm.
lot of people already got their balloons out, their party hats. Everybody's already ready to enter 2021, counting down the days.
Yeah.
But 56 days is a lot of time. That might be the time that you go from project to partner within those 56 days. But not if you're counting down the days until 2021, thinking it's going to be a lot better when reports are saying that COVID is still going to be around in 2021. So, so what's the point of wasting 56 days when tomorrow's not promised?
Correct.
So these 56 days could be your transition. That could be that liminal space that I always talk about, where you go
Mm-hmm.
from project to partner, but don't settle for just being a project, or don't settle in the middle. Like, I've been doing all the work and I'm tired, so I'm gonna settle right in the middle. Be a partner. Use these next 56 days to be a partner. So that's what God put on my heart. If anyone has any questions about that or the difficulty of that, because I know it can be a challenge when you've been waiting
Well,
so long for something.
you know, the one of the things that I think really make people settle, and people, and what's so funny is you have people, and I've heard people say this, I'm not gonna settle, but they date girlfriends instead of wives.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm not gonna settle. But you're gonna always settle if you dating a girlfriend and not a wife.
Right.
Because a woman that is a wife, that is her character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're dating a woman that is a girlfriend, you already settled,
Right.
and you've already wasted time, right? Like, that's the illusion that you're thinking, oh well, but I didn't marry them. But again, like you said, God could be sending you your wife. Your wife could be right there, but because you still dating girlfriends talking about you not settling, baby, you just settled.
Mm-hmm.
You just delayed yourself,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of men do. Love you, but I see a lot of men do it, and women
I was
do
gonna
it
say,
too.
it works both ways. I
Women
mean,
do it.
it works both ways. I know there's some brothers out there that definitely are delaying their wives for sure. I'll be open and honest about that. But I also know there are a lot of women delaying the arrival of their husbands too, because a lot of times they feel like them being a project is the prize. You know what I mean? Like we
Right.
like and not like we were talking about last week when we were talking about, like, Cardi not cooking and cleaning and she still got the ring. So some people still feel like I could be in a project phase and get partner
Right.
benefits. So it's just like, that's where sometimes people wrestle, but that's the divide between Christ and the culture, where sometimes people want to be, like I said, be in a project phase, but get
Mm-hmm.
partner benefits. It doesn't work that way, So that
Correct.
thing. I saw your comment too, Kristen, about the hoodie.
Oh yeah, definitely get the hoodie. I'm gonna definitely make sure I post my picture of
For
my hoodie.
sure.
Um, but yeah, people do that so much, and I begin sick and tired of it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I was listening to I've been watching Pastor Jerry
Okay.
Flowers' series up in season. I'm in between him and Darius Daniels like
Darius
every
Daniels
single week.
is, yeah, he's the man.
Yeah. And one of the things that that he said that really stuck out, and I've said this before to other people, what's the point of God sending you a partner if you still don't know your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know your purpose, you don't need a partner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A husband don't need doesn't need favor if you ain't even if you not even operating in your purpose. If you're not even operating in what you're supposed to be doing, why you need favor?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. So at the end of the day, why are we still entertaining relationships or people that we know, like we know off bat if you gonna be able to go the distance or not? Now what we'll do is we will negotiate with ourselves because we don't know what loneliness feels like. Hey Chris, you definitely can speak to some of
Mm-hmm.
this. We don't know what loneliness is going to look like for us, that uncertainty in these other relationships. And so what do? We will drag people along in cuffing season because it's just something to do right now, right? But the truth is, we know come March, we clipping.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and then we talk about cutting people off again. We cutting our hair. You know how women do. Women cut hair
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Oh, and let you know we better start changing up the way we move, right? So we start doing all of this stuff. But my thing is, and I'm speaking as a woman to men, if you desire a wife, then stop entertaining girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Because a wife's gonna make you level up. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's the issue. People don't be ready to they
Right,
don't, they
right.
don't be ready for the
Mm-hmm.
because what the level up look like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
We have to address your
Right.
vulnerability. You have to show up as your authentic self. Most people can't do that. Some people still showing up with their mask. They think it's Halloween, baby. It's November.
Right.
So that's another issue. Is this person we got the trust issues that's coming up now? We got to start addressing. Do you trust yourself? Are you still unhealed from that last relationship? So when you're with a woman that is a wife, let me just speak for wives. We don't be out there playing all in games. Okay. Like we trying to figure out what we building, where we going with this. No, we not trying to Netflix and chill at your house every single
Mm-hmm.
night. No, we not trying to up here be cooking and cleaning like we Sister Cletus
Mm-hmm.
to no boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody, like we not signing up for that. We trying to hear about what's your 5-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
And does it include me? I always ask people like, what's your purpose? Because if you haven't spent that time with God first, confidently becoming and understanding who you are, how you gonna lead me? Because I'm an alpha female. Yeah, and you ain't just gonna be leading me anywhere. I'm gonna have questions. So Chris, I'm sending my ties on this word. Come on, Chris. So Chris shared a live, and that's what I'm like. That's my thing. Like, I want people to connect on purpose.
Right.
Like, it be some people I want to tell them so bad, baby, that relationship is not making it. Like, it's not gonna make. It's not gonna make. Call me when you realize it's not gonna make it. It's just not going to. Like, that's not. If I see it ain't going nowhere, you definitely got to see that this ain't going anywhere. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in things. Oh, she got a good job. She got a nice vehicle. She ain't got no kids, or she got one baby daddy. She make X amount of dollars. Okay, but what her spirit look like?
Exactly. Yeah.
Does she talk to the Lord? Can she pray? Because a wife is an intercessor. Can she pray? What's she using them knees for? Let's address some of these other issues. Okay, she can cook. That's good. But what else can she do? Because, baby, I can get you a chef. We may need one. My schedule busy. Like, what else tangible is there? A lot of times we look, oh, they got a nice car, but they struggling to keep the maintenance up on it, baby. Every time you get in there, all need to be changed. Maybe they have money management issues. Like what else? Like, I'm just at a season where I want to see us dig deeper than just that we fun. Hey, Andrea, I want to see us dig deeper than just the fun. We always want to be fun and all this other stuff. What else they got? What and the things that they do have, does it complement who God has called you to be in particular? Because she may have some good things for your neighbor, not you. You got your neighbor wife at your house. She need to be down the street.
Right.
Not at your place. You holding up somebody else's blessing because you already know that this is not what you want. And you already know they're not going to settle you. And see, my definition of someone settling me is someone that has stretched me so much that I'm like, oh, wait, I can't just walk off from this. Because, I work out 4 days a week. But when Kiki and JJ change up my workouts, I'm like, oh, wait. I thought I was doing good.
Right.
You done get this new business that makes me have to really make sure my form is good. Really make sure that my mindset is not saying we can't do this. Because your mindset will say one thing and it'll kill the whole body.
Exactly.
Excuse me. And so I've got to make sure that at that point it settles me. Like, I'm like, oh, wait, I think I done walked up on what I was waiting on. And for some of us, we haven't met that person yet because we're still settling, that we haven't been introduced to what settles you. Because a man needs a place to come home to comfort. That settles you, right? That settles your spirit, right? Your partner should settle your spirit and vice versa. Your husband should settle your spirit. It should be when you come home from a hard day of work and the world done beat you up enough and the job done beat you up enough and the co-workers done got on your nerves enough, that when you come home, there's a place of refuge. That's something that settles you. But a lot of us, we're hoping that the settling eventually settles us. But that ain't how it works. It doesn't eventually settle you. Either you settle and you already know they up here walking around with that 80-20 rule. Like I just started watching again, which is one of my favorite movies, Tyler Perry's movie Why Did I Get Married? And just watching it again as a woman that has been married, been divorced, and broken to whole, I look at it now even in a different light, and I'm like, oh my goodness, baby, that 80-20 rule was everything, wasn't it? You thought you had it all good. You disrespecting a woman. You know what you want to do. Why? Because you thought you was with a woman that you settled for because she was big. Didn't realize that size 6 was what you was really settling. That was a settle. The woman that was praying for you, the woman that was hoping that she could get better, the woman that was trying, that was your wife. That was the thing that settled you. But you wouldn't settle, just went on and settled. And made that transition. And then when you saw her better, then what you doing? Oh man, she was good. She was looking good then.
Right.
But you were breaking her down, so you could not see that. You were distracted by the size 6 and the nice framework, right? But there was nothing in it. There was absolutely nothing in it. And that's a lot of our relationships. We settle with somebody, but and they got a decent framework, but you can't live in framework. You know, you can't just live in a house that got cement and 2x4s. I mean, baby, you ain't got no roof, you ain't got no walls, you ain't got like, you gotta weather the storm. Literally. You know, you ain't got no lights. There's a lot of things missing with this stuff. And so that was kind of my thing, is just really getting us to the point where we realize that settling and the thing that settles you, not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I desire someone that settles me, that makes me stop and say, okay, God, I hear you now. This is what you have for me, right? And me not still passing it by thinking this can't be it. But I sure don't want to settle. And I'd be like, well, at least he got a job. 6 months out the year.
That's what happened.
He up here working 50% of the year. Like, that's not acceptable, because a man that don't work don't eat. So that's not gonna work for me. That may work for your mama. But that's not gonna work. That ain't gonna work for me. That may work for a project. That may work for somebody that's broken, that's praying that they get a man that don't ever leave. But baby, he's not here dependent. He ain't gonna leave now. He just became a dependent for you to carry on your back. It's a different type of person to be dealing with. And a lot of times we don't know the difference, and we interchange words. Men and women both do this. And you know, I'm just ready for us to get to a season where we start demanding more from people and stop letting people just give us the crumbs that's off the table or they leftovers. No, I don't want your leftovers. Gumbo good, you know, after a couple of days it's sitting, but I don't always want it. That's not for everybody. And that's just my take on it. Is that I think that we, you know, as people of God, we got to know that God didn't call us to settle. He gonna send that thing that makes you level up, right? That settle, that gives you comfort, that makes you know, okay, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. But he's not gonna put you in a situation where you constantly are trying to argue this person's downfall, or every day you an attorney trying to argue why he's still, girl, you an attorney. That man ain't no she not good. Why are you arguing? I mean, I know she ain't got this, but she got that. And then our favorite line, nobody perfect.
Yeah, that's
that used to be taking me out.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, I was, like I said, I was talking to somebody about that. Like, you know, I had a call where it's just like, sometimes people, when they mention like flaws and all, right, it's romanticized, right? You know, accept me, flaws and all, right? But that literally, for me, that means is, I'll accept that you have flaws, but we have to acknowledge ways to correct them, right?
That part.
Versus me saying, hey, I know you talk back and don't listen. That's just you. So you know what? That's just going to be our marriage. Hey, she talked back and don't listen. You know, happy wife, happy life. That's why I feel it's happy house, happy spouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we got to get away from this. Hey, you know what? I'm just going to agree with whatever my wife says. You know, you right, even when she's wrong. Because now that becomes the standard. You know what I mean? So we just got to be, extremely careful about flaws and all. I'm not saying you got to enter a relationship perfect, but you got to be willing to perfect your flaws. So that's just something that we have to really take into consideration. I don't have to come in perfect, but I do have to perfect my flaws. Whether I'm doing the majority of that before the relationship, or I'm finalizing my final 10% within the relationship, because maybe God has aligned you with someone who can help you close that 10% gap. So we just gotta be, mindful of that. A couple of things I want to add to what you said, which was extremely powerful. God is not
Mm-hmm.
the author of confusion. So you
That part.
know, like you mentioned, something is going to settle you, meaning like this is it. God is not the author of
Yes.
confusion. So if you don't feel like you are settled or satisfied,
Mm-hmm.
then you're settling.
Correct.
So that's something that we just got to think about, right? If I'm
Yeah.
thinking, man, there's just something missing, because it's like when we eat a certain food, like, man, something's missing here. It's not sweet enough, or it's a little bland, or it's too sweet, or whatever the case might be. We know something is missing,
Mm-hmm.
but we know when something is, oh, this is spot on. Oh, this is it. We know
Yeah.
when this is it, whether it's a shirt, whether it's food, whether it's a hat, whether it's a car, house, this is it. God is not the author of confusion. So if you are confused, if you're in between settling and being settled, then most likely you're settling, right?
Absolutely.
So that's something that we gotta look at that. So if you are confused, if you're being settled, you're most likely settling.
Correct.
So that goes to the second thing that I wanted to mention. I mentioned this on the live while I was referencing the story of the blind man from Bethsaida, was do not settle for a life that does not include the desires of your heart.
Come
Why
on.
would we settle for a life that does not include what God promised us? Jesus
Hmm.
did not die on the cross for us to live a life that does not include what he promised us. So if you desire to be settled, which I would imagine everyone wants to be settled, satisfied, somebody wants to have a partner, someone that they can build a life with,
Correct.
do not settle until you have that, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the question is, are you settling for being a project when God is calling you to be a partner? Do not go
Mm.
your entire life as a project. It's one of those people that I have flaws. I just want somebody to accept my insecurities, accept me for me. What do you mean, accept me for me? I want to accept the best
What?
version of you,
Correct.
not just me for me. Granted, I will accept you as you, but we got to acknowledge that you have to become a better you, just like I'm becoming a better me. So we
Yeah.
got to have a level of accountability. So when it comes to
Mm.
those flaws and things of that nature, I can accept that you have flaws, but we got to acknowledge ways to make them better. And then we have to hold each other accountable to correcting those flaws. Like I said, perfecting those flaws, because
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept you as who you are, as Lauren, as whoever, right?
Hmm.
But we got to be mindful, look in the mirror and say, what are my flaws? What do I need to get better at? I want to be the best version of myself, because God wants to bless the best version of you. So your job is to become the best version of that person.
Correct.
So that includes vulnerability, looking and saying, you know what, I've been battling insecurities for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that I need to work on. I'm not going to enter a relationship with the expectation for a man or a woman to make me feel more secure about myself. And that's what often happens. And that's why sometimes people feel, well, you made me feel insecure. How can I make you feel less confident about who God created you to be if you're not
Correct.
already confident in who God created you to be? So that means there's a missing piece to that, because there's no way that I can come in and make you question who God created in his image, because God created you in his image. So the question is, do you really believe that? Right?
Right.
So that's just something that we gotta really, really, really keep in mind as we are examining, or as we're looking at, am I settled? Am I satisfied? Or am I settling? If there's a level of confusion, most likely you're settling. Because if you're settled and you're satisfied, you know it. Oh, I'm good. You know, the
You,
woman I got in my
oh,
life is good. Say it again.
you ain't adding more salt.
You add more salt. Oh, no, that's perfect, right? You should not add more salt. You're not add more sugar. You're not put more hot sauce on it. Oh no, this is a perfect dish right here. There's nothing else that
Correct.
needs to be added to it. So you know, right? So if you are in this season, whether you're dating, courting, single, and you're stuck in between, am I settled or am I settling? Because sometimes
Yeah.
people feel like I'm going to be settled because I've adjusted to say, hey, I'm going to be single forever. So sometimes people
Mm-hmm.
try to make that the new narrative. But like I mentioned, God did not send his son to die on a cross for us to live a life without the desires of our heart. So don't change the desires of your heart. If you desire to be a wife, just trust and know that God is going to lead the right man to you at the right time instead of adjusting your standards or your expectations. Because sometimes people have been single for so long that are like, I don't even want to date no more. I've been through so many bad relationships and I don't even want to date. I don't even want to fool with men no more. But you know that
Yeah.
God put that desire in your heart to have a family and children and to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make being settled a new expectation. And that's what happens a lot of
Mm.
time. It's like a new expectation. Even when it's like a man or a woman, it's like, oh, she was better than the last one. So if she was, or he or she was better than the last one, we feel like we're settled or satisfied. And that's why I mentioned the story of the blind man in Bethsaida, because he was blind. He couldn't see a thing.
Yeah.
Once Jesus rubbed spit in his eyes, he was able to see something. So sometimes people just celebrate. I got a man. I got a woman. I got something. I went from single to having something. But that is settling, not being settled or satisfied. So that's just something that
And
we got to keep in mind.
to add to that story, had he not been
And
vulnerable
right,
enough
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Jesus that, hey, all I can see is the
Trees.
trees or look
Oh
like
man.
trees. Jesus will only take you as far as you are willing to be open and
Oh my God. I gotta add something, Lauren, to that. The thing is, a lot of times we see people figuratively looking like walking trees, right?
they built like a
They built
tree.
like a tree, right? But here's what happens, Lauren. Here's what happens. We'll tell when Jesus says, "What do you see?" We'll lie to Jesus and say, I'm seeing people that look like people." So when we're in these relationships and we
Come
know
on.
we're not happy,
No, we
we're
not.
not happy. We're just, I'm so happy. Every relationship has, bad moments, but we good, right?
Mm,
So, like I said,
correct.
and it's funny because, and like I said, it's just like one of them situations where it's like people are happy to be in a relationship, but not happy in the relationship. I don't get that.
Correct.
We got to
Don't make
make
sense.
it make sense. How are you happy to be in a relationship, but you're not happy in the relationship? That is settling. That's not being settled. Because the goal
Mm-mm.
is, don't adjust the goal to relationship, because the Bible does
Correct.
not talk about relationships. The Bible talks about marriage.
Yeah.
So God wants to see you as a wife. God wants to see you as a husband. So
Mm-hmm.
why are we adjusting the standard and saying, oh, this is being settled in a relationship? That is
Mm-hmm.
not being settled. That is no longer the standard. So we got to verbalize like the blind man did. Like he was vulnerable enough to say, hey, I do see.
Yeah.
But I see people that look like walking trees. Some of us just would have left and said, "Oh, I can see God. I'm cool. It's a little blurry, but I can see. I'm good,"
Mm-hmm.
and would have kept on walking.
Have trusted that he could perfect it.
Exactly, and that's it. That's it right
We
there.
would not
That is it.
expect
I've had conversations. I've had conversations about this to
Mhm.
where it's like, was God going to really send the man that he has for me? Absolutely. I know it's been a long time, but that man
Correct.
is coming. So start doing the work. Faith without works is dead, because if you truly believe in your heart of hearts that God is going to lead that man to you, or God is about to lead you to your wife, you are going to start working. You're going to
Correct.
start working. I know that I'm being led to my wife. I'm working on me, and I'm working on being what my wife needs me to be. If you are someone that is a wife and desires to be a wife, you need to be working and knowing that that man is going to be led to you. We always revisit the story of Ruth and Boaz, right? And we often identify that, oh, well, Boaz noticed Ruth working, right? We also notice that Naomi gave her specific instructions,
Correct.
right? And Ruth followed them to a T. So what did Ruth do? She positioned herself to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we just gotta, that's something that we gotta take and keep in mind. It's okay to position yourself to be seen, because if you believe that you're gonna be a wife, position yourself to be a wife. Make your posture look like one of a wife, and then it works the other way around for a husband. Don't just settle. Don't just settle or adjust the standard to say, this is settled for me, when settled is right here. We try to adjust the standard. Oh, I'm okay with being single. You're not okay with being single. You've been wanting to be married your whole life, and it makes me cringe when people, I'm cool with being single. I don't want to be married. It's overrated. But you've been wanting to be married for your whole entire life. Don't secretly. So don't change the standard because you can't see it.
Correct.
You just gotta trust that God already ordered every one of your steps. You gotta trust that God designed your entire life from start to finish. And if you think that God is going to design your entire life from start to finish and not include every desire of your heart, then you don't know God. Or you don't know God the way you should. There's no way that God is going to design your entire life from beginning until end and omit the desires of your heart. My God, like it just doesn't work. Jesus didn't die on the cross for us to not have the desires of our heart, because if God were to omit the desires of our heart from his plan, then that would make that scripture null and void, where it says God promised us desires of our heart. So why are we being settled by not receiving the desires of our heart? That should be the ultimate, that should be settled, is the desires of my heart, not adjusting my standards to what I feel I deserve. Oh my God, that's crazy. But anyway, I mean that's what it really is, right? It's like we go from the desires of our heart to what we feel we deserve. My God, the enemy is always going to show you what he feels you deserve, because he knows what the desires of your heart are. And he knows that he can't do anything about the desires of your heart, because it's already been promised to you by God. So we got to stop shifting our standard from the desires of my heart to what I feel I deserve. Because when we adjust our standard to what I feel I deserve, we're always going to be settling. Because God planned to do exceedingly and abundantly and go above our wildest imagination. So when we're settling for what we feel we deserve, we'll never be settled. When we are settling for what we feel we deserve, we'll be settled once we receive the desires of our heart. So someone out there that's watching this, if you have not received the desires of your heart, keep pressing forward, because it is in your future. Do not settle. It doesn't matter what the culture is doing. It doesn't matter what things look like. Do not settle until you are settled by having the desires of your heart, because God promised it to you. Why go your entire life and not receive what God promised you? It's promised. It's done. It's intact.
But his promises only show up when you have prepared for it to arrive.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's it.
To working out. If you to be able to maximize your workout, you first must detox. Detox removes the toxins. That's why it's detox. Right? It ain't a pretty thing. You got to drink, all kinds of water and all this kind of stuff, right? But what is it doing? It's preparing your body. It's preparing your body. It's preparing you for the workout so you can make it when it's hot in there and you feel like, your body is, not properly hydrated. Well, it ain't, because you have so many toxins still in there. It's soaking up. It's
Mm-hmm.
keeping you dehydrated
Mm-hmm.
because everything that you're putting in is soaking up. Right? So that's why a good trainer is going to tell you to detox. Make sure you're detoxing.
Exactly.
Make sure you drink 10 ounces of greenery. They're going to tell you that if they're a good trainer.
Right. Exactly.
Because this, if you are not being disciplined by what you put into your mouth, no wonder what comes out your body is a mess.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
No wonder why you can't get to those abs. You haven't detoxed.
Detox. Right.
So you got to be able to do that. And so what does the detox look like? Letting go of those relationships that no longer feed you, that never fed you. Stop entertaining people that you already know this not going nowhere. They don't have no option. There ain't an option. One of the things that is very simple for me, and that I pray this blesses a woman, is that if I don't want my sons to be like you, I don't want you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, and for women who are watching this who do not have children yet, that man that you entertaining, do you want your kids to be just like him? If you do not, then he ain't the man.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come together with that person and y'all reproduce a child, that child is born looking like their parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And carrying the weight of their parent
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
They're going to die looking like their decisions, but they're going to be born looking like you and the person you decide to make that child with.
Absolutely.
And that's what they're going to have to deal with. So if you're trying to figure out, is he the one? Think about it. Do you want your son to be just like this? Because for some of us who, have had children from a previous relationship, this person that you bring into your children's lives, they influence your kids because they are a part of you. They are around you. They are around your children. So if he cussing at you, your kids gonna see that.
Right.
If he gotta yell at you to get his point across just because y'all are not agreeing on something, your children will mimic that as a means of how we settle differences, right? Because you are the first model that they ever see for relationships. So what you entertain and sustain is what you'll grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's just facts. So if you don't want, and for men, the women that you entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
if that woman is not a woman that you want your daughter to be like, you don't need to be with her.
Mm-hmm.
If she don't have the characteristics that you want your daughter to have, then why are you making kids with her? Don't make kids with her.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, on God, because guess what? Whatever brokenness she hasn't healed from, your children gonna live it. Whatever brokenness you haven't lived from and broken, you're gonna live it. That's how generational curses are set into motion.
Right.
Why is it set into motion as generations? Because it's not been stopped in the previous one. So if you don't stop it in the previous, it's going to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Weeds that grow around flowers and they are unattended will soon suffocate the plant. Eventually your flowers will die. Any weed that is not ripped up, it will eventually suffocate the life that you're trying to bring into this world. And your brokenness is those weeds.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that I think about. If I'm entertaining somebody and I'm trying to see, God, if this is it, I always ask myself this question that my best friend Sherelle Jefferson told me a while ago. She said, Lauren, did the person do enough today to deserve to be in your life tomorrow? Take it one day at a time, because you can only live in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
We as women, we do a really bad job of, Skilsha said, facts, thanks Skilsha. We do a really bad job of getting into relationships and then like pre-planning the wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
And pre-planning, the life we're gonna have with this person, and we don't even know they social. Like, we don't know, do they have a bank account? Like, do you have one major credit card? Like, you don't know a lot about this person.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And we build lives in our minds around these people. They haven't shown you any consistency. You don't know what their flaws are. You don't know what their strengths are. And there we are marrying people in our minds. Why? Because we are desiring to be partners. That's why I always tell people the promotion from a wife is partner. But a woman that's a wife is already a wife. She don't need you to make her a wife because it's in her character.
Right.
But when you become partners, because we're greater. There's two people to now be accounted for. This is not a sole proprietorship. This is a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we go from sole prop as a wife or a husband to partnership, that now encompasses the both of us. So does that person do enough today to be able to deserve to be in your tomorrow? And so when Cheryl shared that with me, I said, oh, wow, that's super amazing, because it took down my anxiety. As a entrepreneur, as a person that is constantly living in the future at all times, a lot of times when you throw a relationship in there, hey, Ebony, it's easy for you to just start planning this thing. Okay, let's look at how this is gonna go. Let's figure this out. Da 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 da. And we ready to go. We ready to go. Hey, Tiff, we're ready to go. And what are we doing? We're putting the the cart before the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't even decided, did this person deserve tomorrow? And then we're sitting there hoping that he texts, hoping that he call, hoping that he keep his word, hoping that he gonna be the man that he promised me he was gonna be when we met at Walmart or when he took me on that date, hoping he becomes the man that I fantasized about him being in my head, right? And so then at that point, we put a lot of expectations on a person that really should not be there. And then it clouds our discernment to truly see them as they are. For me, I don't want to just get into a relationship with you. No, can we be friends? Because I need to see in the friendship phase, like, how are you moving? You know, if you still entertaining several other people at the same time as me, then what are you doing? Because a person that has settled on a thing, they are completely sold out for a thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you tell me, that's like number one key rule for me. When a guy is like, I'm like, oh, are you single? Oh yeah. And then you continue to talk and they're like, well, I'm kind of talking to somebody. Oh, you're not settled with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were, you would be talking to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you were, there would be no time for you to entertain me and start interviewing me as a, if you were settled in what you were in. That lets me know right then and there. You already know that you're not settled. Why you're trying to fool me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because a man that is completely sold out on the woman that he is with, he all of his free time that he freeing up, he trying to make it our time. A kingdom man is, at least. Now a thought may not be.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But it is, because he's on a mission. He is disciplined
Mm-hmm.
already in his off season. If he's going from woman to woman to woman to woman to woman, oh babe, that's like red flag city. You got work to do, son.
Mm-hmm.
If you telling me that you're going from relationship to relationship to relationship because you looking for something, you haven't found you.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't know what size shoe I wear. I'm not a size 8, so I'm never gonna shop for a size 8 shoe. That's not my shoe size. But when you don't know your size, you trying on the 7s, the 8s. Let's see if the 9 work. Maybe it's the 9.5. You trying on all kind of shoes, trying to figure out
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who you are, but you're using people to do it. Chris say a thought pocket. Correct, Chris. A thought pocket. You're using other people to do it. You don't know you. That's a clear sign to me that you have taken out zero time to know yourself. So when you come across a wife, we got questions about you. We have questions about who God has called you to be. We got questions about when you knew this was your purpose. How did you know? What did you sacrifice? And when you sacrificed, what did that look like? Walk me through that process. When you healed, how long did that take? What were the things that you learned from that last relationship that's going to prepare you to be the greatest version of yourself in this relationship? See, that's what it looks like when you talking to a wife. When you talking to a girlfriend, she want to know, oh, that's your favorite drink? Oh, what you like to do for fun? Where you like to go? Oh, that's a daycare owner. That girl is baby, you up there entertaining your next babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what babysitters want to know. Babysitters want to know what you do for fun because they don't know you and your mama left you over here with them, and now they're trying to figure out how to entertain you and allow you to have a good time. But when you a wife, That ain't the same type of the conversations are different when you sitting at the table with a wife than it is when you sit at the table with a girlfriend.
Absolutely.
And those are just facts. We want to know about your journey specifically.
Right.
I want to know specifically what you do, why you did that, what choices sent you there, how did you come out of that. That's what I want to know. So, and look, Skill should say we either selling or playing Ring Around the Rosie. Exactly. And those are facts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a lot of times we get so caught up in having the easy conversations with people because we're too afraid of what the hard ones sound like. But see, it's those easy conversations that drive us into temptation that eventually makes us forfeit the win.
Right.
Because we're willing to ask the tough conversations. How was your relationship with your father growing up? How did that relationship cultivate you into the man that you are today? Who affirmed you as who you are now? How did you know that this is who this God called you to be? See, these are the kind of questions, that's them I know that I know questions. And you got a lot of people that are really okay with giving you them little generic, general questions. Everybody sacrifices. Yeah, that's good. But what you sacrifice? See, you asked me what I had to sacrifice. I got a whole list. How much time you got to talk about what I had to sacrifice? That's a person that's been processed for purpose. You got some people ain't been processed for purpose yet, so they still trying to, they still trying to hit you with them little easy sentimental conversations that have nothing to do with who God has called you to be.
Right.
Because all things will be added unto you, right? All the things that you need are going to be added unto you, but you first got to go through the process.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is if I'm not asking you processing questions, then how do I know that I'm talking to the final product? Baby, you still
Yeah.
you still an egg.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't the cake yet. I'm trying to come for the cake. You an egg and oil. You batter. You ain't been in the fire yet. So I'm up here eating batter, thinking I done came for the cake. Baby, you in the bowl. You ain't even went
Mm-hmm.
through the oven.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I know unless I ask questions of process?
Exactly.
So I hope that helps a man or a woman tonight, that especially those of us who are dating, those of us who are seeking who God has called us to do life with, that you ask those probing questions that let you know a person has really prepared, that you really talking to the final product now. You're not talking to, the representative, and you're not the cake and the all, but you ain't really put the batter in yet, and you ain't talking to the batter that ain't been through the oven yet. Like, no, I want to talk to the icing with the sprinkles, the full Monty. And if you're not there yet, that's cool, right? That's cool, but don't expect me to buy you like that as a customer. I don't know many people that's buying cupcakes that ain't cooked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, unless somebody's on the market for making cupcakes, but that's good. I'm gonna add something to that. We can't be afraid to lose something that we don't have. So when you're talking about the tough conversations, right? Sometimes we're afraid to ask certain questions or have certain conversations because we feel like we're going to lose somebody or put somebody away. We can't be afraid to lose something that we don't have, because a tough conversation or a detailed conversation with the right person is not going to push them away. It's ultimately going to pull them close to you. That's how you know if someone is it or if they're not, right? You should be able to sit down. That goes back to, we call this the vulnerability room. Be vulnerable, because you can't be afraid to lose something that you don't have. Because if I can't have a tough, difficult, vulnerable conversation with you, and I can't probe and ask certain questions, and it irritates you to the fact that you're like, I'm out of here, I never had you to begin with. So we can't be afraid to lose something that we do not have. And, whether it's the standard for men or not, the same thing like you asked, as far as women asking questions and different things along those lines, it should be the standard for men too. Men should want to know what a woman's 5-year plan is and where she sees herself. And is she going through the process? Is she in the project phase, or is she in the partner phase, right? We should know where she is in the process, because we're all in the process somewhere. Like you said, someone is in the bowl, someone's in the oven, someone is the finished product, right? Whatever the case might be, we are all in different phases. Well, we should know where that person is, right? And ultimately, like you said, determines if somebody wants to buy. Some people, buy cupcakes. I mean, it is what it is. They want to make them. They want to go through that process. There are some people who need ready cupcakes, to each his own, right?
Would be that time.
I got you. I got
And
you. I got you. I got you. Right.
what's the price?
No, I got you. I got you, Laura. I got you, Laura. Right. So I mean, that's something that we got to keep in mind. Another thing that I was going to add, because we talked a lot about preparation, and that's a part of the process. And one thing that I want to add tonight is that manifestation does not eliminate preparation, because what happens is we manifest something with our mouth and put our hands out like this, versus manifesting something with my mouth and let me go work like it's coming.
Correct.
Manifestation does not eliminate preparation, because I see that a lot with these manifestations. This is going to be the last year that you're single, and these people go crazy. Oh, it's my last year of being single. But what are you doing in the last year that you're single? Or nothing. And that's why you see that meme pop up every single year. Oh, this is gonna be the last year that you're single voting at the election. But if you ain't doing no work, you're gonna be, you're gonna delay that man's arrival. And it's not because God does not want to see you with someone. You're just delaying the process.
Correct.
God, faith without works is dead. So if you truly believe that you're going to be a wife, like you said, to see in your character, your character is, I'm a wife. If you truly believe that you're a husband, you are already a husband.
Come on.
So you already are those things. That's how I feel. I'm already a husband.
Come on,
I'm already there, right? Because I believe that, and I carry myself in that fashion. But if I didn't believe that I was going to become someone's husband, then my behaviors would be like I'm somebody's boyfriend, or I'm like somebody's entanglement. All my fellas out there, you are not an entanglement, bro. You are not somebody's, vacation. You are not somebody's dinner where they don't put you in the picture. The devil is a liar. You are more than that. You are more than that. You are a king. You are somebody's husband, bro. And it's the same thing for the women. You are somebody's wife. You are not an entanglement. You are not a 12 a.m. call. You are somebody's wife. But you got to acknowledge that, and you have to walk it. So it's like we talked about last week, a wife is favored. But if a woman is not walking like favor, then she doesn't have the posture of a wife. So that's why I said we got to, like Ruth, she positioned herself to be seen by Boaz after she took the instructions from Naomi. She positioned herself to be seen, right? So what's your posture? What's your position?
Come on.
Is your posture or position representing a partner or a project? So like I mentioned, the manifestation thing, I believe in manifesting anything, even with your purpose. But it does not eliminate preparation. You can try to manifest, I'm going to be a millionaire. But you can't just go sit back on your couch with a minimum wage work ethic. It's not going to work. You can't manifest becoming a husband and you're still out doing boyfriend type things. Same thing for a wife. We cannot, like I said, manifestation is big. I see a lot of people posting manifestation type quotes, and it just makes people shout and run around. That's a feel-good thing. That's a feel-good thing. That's like taking ibuprofen for a headache. But if you don't get to the root of the headache, it's only going to take the pain away for a certain period of time. That's why people repost these manifestations, and within 24 hours, they're not believing that they're somebody's wife. That's why I said, when it comes to settling versus being settled, settle is the desires of my heart. Do not adjust the standard to what I feel I deserve. The enemy is always going to tell you what you feel, what he feels you deserve. He'll always tell you you don't deserve to be a husband. You don't deserve to be a wife. You don't deserve a family. You don't deserve the desires of your heart. But God already determined that before you were even born.
Correct.
So that's something that we gotta keep in mind, is that we can't be afraid to lose something that we don't have. We cannot be afraid. Don't be afraid. Oh, if I ask him about his relationship with God, he gonna walk away. If he walk away, then I ain't the right one. And vice versa. That's why I know I'm an unapologetic man of God. Unapologetically. That's me. I'm unapologetic about it. If we're going to have a conversation, God is going to pop up somewhere in the conversation. If I got to dial it back and I got to sound like, I'm from the hood and I'm a thug and yeah, if I got to do all that, then I'm settling, not being settled, right? And I'm not, that's watering me down.
Yeah.
So again, I can't be afraid to lose something I don't have, because it's like if I'm dialing back who I am just to keep somebody, then I never got them, because they're accepting me for something that I'm not. So if somebody is accepting me for who I'm not, I never had them in the first place. That's why, sometimes men do lead with their pockets. And once the pockets go flat, so does the relationship. So the woman's out the door. Don't be afraid to lose something that you don't have. Have those tough conversations. Talk about Christianity. Talk about a 5-year plan. Talk about purpose. Talk about vulnerability, your past, and what you've been through. Talk about all of those things, because the right person is going to stay there and say, hey, how can I help you be better?
Yeah.
Right? And like I mentioned, manifestation does not eliminate preparation. Manifest as much as you want, but do the work for it. Don't manifest and just sit there. Oh, I manifested I'm going to be a millionaire. I manifest I'm going to be a wife, and don't do no work. You can't be a wife and don't do no work. That's what Ruth was doing. That's the reason that Boaz noticed her first. Who's that woman out there working? Proverbs says the woman knows the worth of her work. So these are things that are in the Bible. Now, if you're based off the culture, you don't cook and you don't clean and still want to get a ring, by all means, it might. Say it again.
Still using that WAP.
Still using that WAP. If that's what you're using to get a ring, I mean, you got to know your worth, though.
Rings tarnished.
Rings tarnish, okay. Yeah, rings tarnish, and rings tarnish. And if you use WAP to get a ring, it might not be long term. It might not be long term. So that's something that we got to keep in mind, so we cannot settle in this season. And you got to know your worth. God put a treasure in you. That's why Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds a treasure. Let that man find a treasure inside of you. God already placed it inside of you. But you got to recognize that treasure that's inside. You got to polish that treasure. Right? But again, like I said, manifestation does not eliminate preparation. Manifest everything you want. Manifest the desires of your heart, but be willing to work for them. And like you said, to make a sacrifice. What are you sacrificing? Because what Jesus sacrificed? His entire life.
That's it.
So if you're not willing to make a similar type of sacrifice for the desires of your heart and what you're manifesting, it almost is, how bad do you want what you're manifesting?
You heard my thoughts.
Hey, we're in sync. We're in sync. Like Justin Timberlake and what's his name, Lance. Yeah. But again, are you willing to work for what you're manifesting? Whether that's purpose, relationships, jobs, college, careers, are you willing to work for what you're manifesting? Manifestation does not eliminate preparation. So like I said, in the culture, social media influencers, posting these, messages, this is the last year you being broke. But if you still got a broke mentality, like you said, if you still got a broke mentality, that manifestation is going to be limited. Because you can't manifest not being broke, but you got a broke mentality. And that's why when I talk to, some of my clients, I always have them go into what I call an internal inventory. What internally is in your inventory that needs to go? What do you need to uproot from your life to make room for what God is trying to bring in? Because like you said, if you don't correct those things, Now you're passing them from generations to generations to generations, right? Now you got 2, 3 generations of sons that walk around and cuss at women and talk bad to them because you didn't go inside of your internal inventory and say, you know what, although I've been swearing my whole life, I'm making a decision that I don't have to communicate that way. Or as a woman, I yell, and like I said, I see my mom yell. I always ask my dad, like, why is she always screaming? That's just what women do. So my mom adopted that as the standard. But we have to rewrite the standard. The standard is not, I got to yell to get my point across. The new standard is, let me communicate effectively to get my point across, right? Now, obviously, you're not going to hear that in the culture. You're going to, see yelling and screaming and shade room and, World Star and all that, but the devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. We got to learn to communicate. And that's something that goes underrated. We don't talk about communicating. We talk about dating, but we don't talk about communicating.
And we say we want good relationships, but we want to date people that stay, not good people.
Right.
Like I saw earlier today, somebody was like, they want somebody that they want a hood dude that want to brunch, that want to do brunches.
Yeah. Remember I talked about that last week. Yeah, like the person was like a romantic hood godly man. A romantic hood godly man. So I'm just like, wow, someone who's romantic but hood but godly. And it's like, can we make it make sense, y'all? Can we make it make sense? Like, I mean, come on. You want a man that's in the culture and of Christ. You want somebody that's of the world and in the world. It's like it has to be one or another. Say it again.
He's lukewarm.
Right, lukewarm. We want people that are like you said, lukewarm or in the middle. I had when I was doing my live, I had proposed this question on my story, like, are you completely happy or comfortable? And somebody replied like something about like, I'm comfortable. So I asked, I said, well, why are you comfortable? It was like, although why I'm not completely happy, I'm not unhappy. So I'm just like, so you're not completely happy, but you're not unhappy. So I'm just like, you ain't hot, you ain't cold, you just warm, right? You cool with that. The devil is a liar. Jesus did not take the cross, nails in his side, for you to live a life that does not include the desires of your heart. Be settled.
Correct.
Be settled. Be satisfied. Don't adjust the standard. We always want to adjust the bar. Oh, well, maybe it's just not meant for me to be in a relationship. If that's a desire God put on your heart, it's up to him to fulfill that promise. It's our responsibility to not give up.
Come on.
That's what we got to be mindful of. It's God's responsibility to fulfill the promise. It's our responsibility to not give up. And that's what happens. God is like, I'm holding up my end of the promise, right? That's my responsibility. I got the promise waiting, but you're not holding up your responsibility. You gave up. So that's just something that we got to keep in mind in this dating season, in this purpose season. It's like we got one responsibility. Just don't give up on God. Just don't give up on God, because he hasn't given up on you, because he created a promise. He created everything that you've been praying for. The only job you got is don't give up. Do the work. Do the work. Do the work. Go into the internal inventory. What's in, one of the questions I asked my client, I said, what are you holding on to that you need to let go of? She said, oh, there's a lot of things, right? So I said, that's good, because we're going to have some good sessions, right? You know what I mean? But that person is going to be ultimately better because of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't want to go into that internal, ooh, I don't want to touch that. They got so much mold and X, Y, and Z on it, but that's the only way that you can make room for what's coming in your life. It's the only way you're going to make room is when you go into that internal inventory and dig deep and say, man, this got to go, this got to go, this got to go, this got to go. Right? Looks like somebody said, I'm cleaning up. I love it, Kristen. I'm cleaning up. I got to clean up house. Right? I got some. Say it again.
She said, I'm claiming it.
I'm claiming it, right? Claim that, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God is going to send something my way. So I got to do the work that I got to clean it up. I got to go into my internal inventory, clean up, because I'm claiming what God is bringing to me. I'm making room. It's just like when you got somebody coming over to stay the night. Oh, I got to clean up that other room. Even though I got my heels and shoes and suitcases all in there. I know you've been traveling, right? But I gotta clean that room up, right? I gotta make room.
Yeah.
I gotta make room for what's coming. And sometimes that's why God delays certain things in our life, because we haven't made room for what's coming. We just manifested it, but we didn't prepare for it. We manifested something, but we didn't do the work. Faith without works is dead. The Bible says that. This ain't me just saying something to sound cool. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So if you're not working, that means you don't have faith, in my opinion, because there's no way that you have faith that God is going to send the right man to you, but you ain't preparing for that man. Or you can't tell me that you have faith that you're going to be led to the right woman, but you ain't working on yourself, bro. So I mean, come on, make it make sense. We gotta be always working. Faith without works is dead. So if we're claiming it, then we gotta be working. Because if you're not working, you're not claiming it.
No.
Your name will be on it, but you won't receive it until you do the work for it, right? You won't receive it until you do the work for it. So I just pray that blesses somebody on tonight. I pray that the whole entire live. The live was, a lot of gems, a lot of gems, a lot of those cash app moments. I was trying to see some of those comments.
Jasmine said, "Y'all over here like, wow."
Yeah. This was fire.
So look, I pray that it definitely blessed you guys. Make sure that you share the live. Make sure that if you're considering coaching, both of us are coaches, DM us, find a way to get in contact. It's time for you to start betting on yourself. Life Carlton, amazing sweatshirts. DM him. He will definitely get you his sweat, which I love mine. So I'll definitely make sure I drop a picture in it. Very, very, because I love it. So so you guys continue to support. If you have not gotten your copy of Vulnerability, The Art of Letting Go, you should go ahead and pre-order, because it's going to be dropping soon. So definitely pre-order the book. And if you're just looking to figure out, God, where do you want me to be? Look, get the app. At least the Purpose app will help you. It sends you notifications. It sends you the prayer tonight at 9. Okay. So definitely a way to keep people encouraged, inspired. And so that's really both of our platforms, is just really wanting to inspire our people, not just Black people, but Christian people, that, are struggling with, okay, who am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to show up? How do I decipher between the culture and God? Where do I fall in all of this? And so just really what I love about our lives is we get to use our lives as roadmaps to help people see the ways to go and not to go. So I pray that you have enjoyed it. Carlton, as always, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you.
Always
this was awesome, and always thank you for the connection, and glad that we got you back from your world tour and everything, so we can be back in the vulnerability room. I missed it last week, so.
Well, yes, I'm back. So
all right, we good now. We're back on. So.
So guys, y'all share the live. Just Jasmine, I'm so glad that that this blessed you. She said, God definitely let me hear. Keep up the great work. So I'm so glad God led you here. And we're glad to have you. So stay tuned. There's gonna be more to come from me. Of course, I'm always doing something. I'm never resting. So I love you guys on purpose. Good night, Carlton.
Good night, Lauren. See you.